Everyone thinks a 40 amp MPPT is just a bigger number and more watts. But here's the thing, the Renogy Rover 40A is both better and pickier than most people realize, because its performance lives or dies on how you size your array, wire your system, and set those lithium parameters. That matters. I ran the Rover 40A through 3 weeks of testing in a van and a small cabin with 400W on a 12V bank, 800W on a 24V bank, AGM and LiFePO4, clear skies, fast-moving clouds, and 38 to 95 degree temps. The big surprise, it can squeeze extra amp hours when conditions get messy, but it will also punish sloppy setup. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you're already leaning toward the Rover 40A and want the best current price, I've got the link below. But stick around, because a couple of quirks I found could save you money and protect your batteries. I needed a quiet, no-drama upgrade. My old budget controller on my van build was loud, ran hot, and left 15 to 20% of potential on the table during shoulder hours. I had a fall road trip planned with a hungry 12V fridge, camera batteries, and daily laptop editing. PWM wasn't cutting it, and a cheap MPPT had already browned out on a 95-degree day. Frustration was real. I wanted a fanless controller that could handle variable clouds without constantly dropping off the maximum power point. On paper, the Rover 40A checked boxes. Up to 99% tracking efficiency, 98% conversion, 1224V auto detect, full protections, and an LCD I could actually read at a glance. At around 172.64 and a 4.3-star rating, it looked like solid value, but I've been burned by specs before. First test, tracking in ugly, real-world light. Two 200W panels in series feeding a 12V100A LiFePO4 panels at about 44V VOC into the controller. Under passing clouds, the Rover grabbed the new max power point within about 1 to 2 seconds after a shadow rolled off. My data logging showed it consistently pulling 5 to 9% more watt-hours than a similarly rated budget MPPT over a full mixed sun day. Not hype, the Rover's sweep is quick and stable, and it didn't oscillate around the set point. But then I pushed it near the limits. The Rover 40A is rated for 520W at 12V and 1040W at 24V, with a 100V max PV input VOC. With 400W on 12V, peaks landed in the 28 to 32A range during bulk, right where you'd expect. When I swapped to a 24V AGM bank with 800W of panels wired 2S to P, I saw 26 to 30A at around 27V in bulk, roughly 700 to 820W into the batteries. When the sun popped from behind clouds, you could see a neat little flat top on the power curve as the controller current limited instead of freaking out. That's what you want. And crucially, wiring in series kept PV current low, so my cable losses dropped, but then came the thermal challenge. Fanless is great for your ears, but heat kills efficiency. In a van interior at 92F, the Rover's heatsink got toasty. I measured a mild dew rate roughly 5 to 8% during the hottest 30-minute window after heat soak. It never shut down and it stayed silent at 0 dB, but you should mount it where it can breathe. Don't stuff it in a dead air cabinet. Next, battery rescue. The Rover includes lithium reactivation and even claims it can operate with a battery at 0V by waking the BMS with a small current. I tripped a LiFePO4 BMS on purpose. The Rover nudged it awake and then eased into bulk. It's not a miracle defibrillator for dead cells. If your pack is truly at cell 0, that's a different problem, but for BMS cutoffs, this feature worked exactly as advertised. And the day-to-day stuff, the LCD is genuinely helpful. Voltages, currents, charge stage, and error codes you can actually interpret. The RJ45 port let me use the included Bluetooth module in my bundle. Renogy's DC Home app gave me live data with updates every few seconds. Range was about 20 to 25 feet. I could edit key parameters, absorption voltage and time, float, equalize behavior on lead acid, and custom lithium settings in user mode to match my pack specs. It's clear though. The app is not a shunt. Amp hour math is an estimate. If you want true state of charge, add a real battery monitor. But here's where it gets interesting. The 100V PV limit is a gift and a trap. It gives you wiring flexibility, series strings reduce copper loss, but you must calculate cold weather VOC. Two 40V VOC panels in series can hit low 90s VOC on a freezing morning. That's fine. 3 in series could exceed 100V and toast your day. The Rover's protections are robust: reverse polarity, overcharge, short circuit, overtemp, but they can't bend physics. My biggest discovery came after logging dozens of hours in mixed conditions. The Rover's value jumps when you move to a 24V bank. You unlock up to 1040W of array, cables run cooler, and the controller loafs instead of living at the edge. On 12V, it's great up to around 400 to 520W. Push past that and you're clipping, fighting heat, and leaving performance on the table. On 24V with 600 to 900W of PV, it's in the sweet spot: quiet, efficient, and stable. Side notes that matter: it's negative grounded, which plays nicely with RV chassis wiring. The load terminals are best used for low current lighting and control. Don't stick an inverter there, and the plastic shell is UL listed and insulated, which feels safer in a family camper. Speaking of dialing it in, now that you know it performs best when sized right, grab it while the price is favorable. Stock and bundles with the BT module tend to fluctuate, and you'll want to add a temp sensor and proper fusing. Links in the description for the best current deal. Bottom line, the Renogy Rover 40A MPPT is a quiet workhorse with real brains, not just marketing. If you're running a van, RV, or small cabin with a 12V bank up to about 520W of panels, or better yet, a 24V bank up to around a kilowatt, it's an excellent pick. If you want an app that doubles as a precision fuel gauge, a 48V system, or you plan to exceed 1kW on 12V, look elsewhere. For everyone else, set it up right, respect the 100V PV sailing, program your lithium properly, and it will simply sip sun in silence. Here's what nobody tells you: the Rover 40A isn't just about amps, it's about matching, mounting, and monitoring. Do that, and it punches above its price.